For those of you who don't know Tommy, he just got back from sabbatical working on this topic. It might be the last sabbatical.
I just saw that. A sign of things to come.
So anyway, Tommy's joining us today, and yeah, I think he's great. I don't know if that's a good enough intro for you.
I'll take it. Thanks, Tim. My plan today was to, yay, another artist, was just to run through this there's a lot on here. This is like my meta lecture with lots of notes and everything. So I'm just gonna kind of flip through stuff. It's probably too much, really quickly. Y'all just kind of keep a mental note for whatever strikes your fancy that you're curious about, or just generally, as long as it's related to AI and imagery, I probably have something to offer about that. And then we can, I think, go into a general discussion based off of what y'all are interested or what y'all are curious about, if that makes sense. Okay? So, so this is my first slide. And, hey, yeah, come on in. And I'll just go ahead and play the suspense from, if it'll automatically play. Or now it's not going to automatically play.
Want to sign in?
So, there we go. I don't know if the volume's good or not.
Yeah, but your scientists are so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they just don't think they should.
Yeah, so we're really caught up on what we can do and not what we do with it, right? And so for a long time, there's this back and forth, especially within artists, if AI is good or bad. But really, it's like oil and gunpowder. It's a reality. And we just need to learn how to handle it before it handles us in a lot of ways. And so it's just kind of this reality. It's out of the box. Why is that scary? What can we do about it? Why is it great? Why is it amazing? What is all this, all this excitement and energy around it?
Yeah.
How do we handle it before it handles us? Here's kind of the general layout of this presentation. Are they art? That's a big one for a lot of people. How do you make it? And the different tools or the different processes of layering those things. And the bigger picture, which is definitely big. This is where most of our big practical problems come in and come from right here. So I'm going to try to touch on a lot of that. Are AI images art? And there is a long history in the arts. The reason why the arts are so resilient, the reason why we're still able to offer painting classes in 2025 or whatever, is that the arts don't fight, they absorb. So we don't fight new technology. Inevitably, artists will absorb it, right? And so we kind of use those things. And here, just as the printing press, when photography came out, that's not art, right? Now, of course, photography's art, right? The video camera, video art, sound art, internet conceptual art, that's not art. Yes, now it can definitely be art, right? So it's just kind of takes a few beats, maybe even like a generation. Most of that controversy in terms of can it be used for art or not is kind of like an older generation. I can guarantee you, people in their teens right now, they're having lots of fun with this, right? And they might not know how to use it well. They might not have a good eye for what can be strong work or not, but they'll get there, right? So here are other established famous artists that use a digital camera, right? Here are conversations about novelty, like authorship, originality, right? What is this spectrum of novelty? Like in the art world, we have Roland Barthes or Bart, the author. So Walker Evans, Sherry Levine, she actually did get taken to court over this and lost. But she would high-res scan pictures from his catalog and print those up large and say, oh, this is my art, right? Or this is art. So those conversations are like, well, where's the line? If you're just doing a cover of something, right? There's covers in music all the time. Where is that line between doing something novel with something versus actually being creative with it? And so if you're kind of doing like a one-stop prompt with things, where you're like, give me the Ghibli style of this, then that's obviously like not very creative. That's not very novel. That's kind of a generally agreed upon thing. But, you know, what if as an artist, I take 2 or 3 different artists and I put their styles together and play with it and come up with this new thing? You know, it's kind of like I know it when I see it, right? So I guess the Supreme Court case about something else. But so then we have like, you know, but then we have Cezanne and Picasso, right? 2 very established artists in their own right. Would there be Picasso Cubist breakthroughs without Cezanne? Right? So those are really important conversations, or like just things to kind of remember when we're trying to dictate like, oh, this image isn't art or not, right? Or they don't, you know, you can't use this as a tool, or it's not creative, or, you know, these are just kind of important things to keep in the back of your head, right? I know it when I see it, right? So we have a geometric Kandinsky on the left, and, you know, some generic, you know, now this is handmade, right? So, you know, so maybe that's more willing. So Tron wasn't allowed when it came out to get an Academy Award for visual effects because it used computers, right? Which is just a ridiculous thought now, right? So, you know, that was what, 80?
1984.
84? Yeah. So a few years ago, yeah. And then of course we got like Pixar, Marvel, the whole shebang. What would they do without computers, right? So is this art? I think so. Very commercial, but still art. So, okay, making AI art. You know, there's a lot behind this, a lot of the science that I don't understand. I don't know this math. Maybe some of y'all do. Generally, how does it work? I'm still going way too slow for this presentation right now. But generally speaking, and I think y'all have heard this before, that a computer model is fed, you know, 10, 100,000, millions of images that it can learn from to use as a checkpoint if you're working locally, to then tweak and produce, pick out work. And depending on how well that meta model is made, will dictate how well your outputs are. Okay. So we get this input image, encoder, decoder, predicted image. So, and this is a local, you can't really see it because of the window and stuff, but these are nodules that you can work locally. You don't have to know how to code to do this. And this is why the worms are out of the can, right? Because you don't even have to yet have the internet to do this. It's an open source program on anyone's computer strong enough to run it. And you can do this with, all of these are tweakable, customizable little settings that run into each other to produce an image. Now, images have been figured out. That's already done. You can't tell anymore if it's by a halfway competent person if an image is made with AI or not. You just can't. There is Site Engine, which we'll get to, a tool that you can drop it in there and it will reliably tell you if it is an AI image or not. So that's good. That's something that can help with that. Now they're on to video. So video is the new thing, and they're going to fix that. They're going to figure that too. All right, so it's inherently collaborative, open source, free. Well, free-ish. And these are kind of the 2 main players where you kind of come here and you can do all different kinds of things. Okay, it's not just like a model, but you know, you can get your Studio Ghibli, or you can do like your own little Pokemon or whatever. You can layer these in different ways. You can create your own model. If you have your own work, which I did, you can create your own model, and you can use that. You can download it, use it locally, or use it on here. You can share it if you want. And so you can produce works that look or resemble like your own work. So if you can imagine, if you're a painter spending, you know, days, weeks, months on a big painting, and you can go in here and pick them out in a few seconds. So you're going to see that the big game changer in all this isn't necessarily the quantity at the end result, but the speed. The speed is just, that's what's really going to change things about all this. So here's So I used all of these different tools. Now, of course, all these are going to be a little different now because this was at the beginning of last spring. This is already a bit dated, and it's not even a year ago. That gives you an idea. So I used all of these tools, websites. I would have a prompt, 33 different kinds of prompts. And I would in Claude say, describe an Akira character that never existed. And this is giving me the description for that imaginary Akira character. And then I copy paste that into these 33 different things. I think it's like 20 or something. So I use 33 different styles or types of prompts for these 20 different engines. So, and these are kind of the best of, as of a year ago, the results for those. So the best of that Akira character, the journey happened to be. A lot of these are close. Some of them aren't close at all. So it just depends. Diane Arbus using Deep Dream, an arcade game that never existed, a 90s Disney character, a Dur print, Elden Ring, Dolly 3, a classic cartoon, which they had a lot of trouble with. They want to make them too nice and too clean, and like Pixar characters, right? So a lot of them struggled with that. Fallout game, Frida, a lot of them struggled with established artists. Some they do really well at, and those you can kind of tell that they've been specifically trained on that artist, like Harmonious Bosch, which is amazing. Where you can look at an image of a Bosch that's AI and not be able to tell as someone who's seen them in person, who loves that artist, and I couldn't even tell. So that's something. The struggle with Leonardo. I don't know why. I thought it was going to nail those. Nope. There's a landscape. All of these are AI. A Gundam character. It struggled with Kandinsky. Cyberpunk game. Classic Disney. Magazine. Pixar, because they almost all nail Pixar characters. Here's a mass market logo and Pokemon characters. It struggled with Worlds. And some of them are, depending on who owns the engine, will curb copyright. So if you mention a specific actor, it might not let you do it, right? Or a specific company, it might not let you do it. A Super Nintendo game. Here's a website of a car company. Sorry about that. Can we close those windows? See if that helps. Thanks. I feel like our projectors on campus, especially for the arts, like struggle enough as it is. Help.
Background for the SNES is too clean.
Yeah, right.
Foreground's spot on.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is, I don't know why I'm holding the clicker into this. Here's Studio Ghibli. This one blew up. Everyone loves Ghibli animation studio. Here's a still life, AI. SpongeBob character that's never existed. And there's a lot of these that it kind of nailed, and a lot of still lifes and a lot of Ghibli. Like they're all like good at it. So here's a portrait, totally fictional, non-existing person. And there's even like websites, a specific one that's been around for a while now. Actually, it's just like this person does not exist. That's the name of the website, I think. And you just like click refresh or whatever, and it's just people that are real that look very real, right? So, of course, you can kind of see some problems coming up with this. Oh, here's the Bosch game. Totally AI. And image FX. So here are kind of the winners, overall winners, and then per category. Some are kind of tied, so I kind of mentioned them together for these. So I did a font typography test, game design background setting, degree to realism, historical styles, illustration, anime, character design. So, yeah. Can't these make something novel? This is my artist statement on ideogram. And it doesn't quite look like my work, but I also kind of want to paint it. Right? I kind of wish I'd made that. I think it's pretty cool. Like, if I sent this to some of my friends and told them, look what I made, and didn't tell them it was AI, I think they'd all buy it. Go, oh, it's a little different from the rest of your work, but it's good. It's even got the little paper creases on the top, right? So, yeah. So yeah, for me, primarily, like professionally, I consider myself an image maker. So whatever's the best image. I don't care if it's a painting or a photograph or collage. I want a good image. So now how these exist in reality is a whole nother story, right? So these would need to be like high-res, printed out, framed well, that kind of thing. Or if you want to get into sculpture, 3D printing, that kind of thing. So yeah, here's all. So I had a painting model, and I made a painting model, a drawing model, and a collage model from my 3 separate models from my work, based off of those separate mediums, and then from 3 different companies' websites. So I ended up with 9 models. So this is from one of the painting models, not a real painting. I think a painter would be able to pick up on a few little signs, like these are not natural paint strokes right here. These are a bit odd. But if you're not a painter, you're not going to pick up on that problem. So, all right. Now, all of that stuff took, I don't know, like a few weeks to do. Keep in mind, I'm kicking out like hundreds, thousands of images doing all this stuff. So it's all mostly commercial, established art stuff, right? Nothing really creative, novel, something new, right? So then, this is Comfy UI, is the local program, and I invested in a very beefy laptop so I could do this wherever I want. And people don't do this on laptops; they do it on desktops. I have like a beast of a gaming laptop, essentially. It has to have the NVIDIA chip, right? Which is big, and you look at stocks. So this is a very basic nodes. This is using my 3 different models from 3 different companies, and I can change the weight and strength of them. So I can say, oh, I want my painting model to be stronger, my collage model to be weaker, or whatever. I can play with that. I can, and I'm not even getting into text prompting. It will require some basic minimal text prompts, but I'm primarily interested in the image-to-image prompting. So everyone knows, like you type in words, you get like an image. I'm mostly interested in giving it an image and it creating a new image. That's image to image. There's also text to video, image to video, to sound, all that. So that's these. I could tweak that a whole lot. I plug in this, and I got this kind of like washy watercolor thing on paper, right? Still think mine's better, but that's not bad for like a one-shot try, right? Again, speed. The learning curve for this there is a learning curve. This is not something that you're just going to hop into, but it's not coding. It's not that. So I was able to get the basic gist of this with imagery only, I would say after a couple weeks, full time. So, yeah. Here's a more complicated one. And they get more complicated. So to say that it's an AI image that must be easy, there is some skill involved if you're going to go for specific things. If you're wanting to customize, I want my mushroom to do that instead. I want this lighting to come from this side instead. If you're wanting that specific customizable stuff, you really have to know what you're doing. So it's a very different kind of thing than just going on Midjourney and being like, mushroom on a tree, right? So it'll give you one, but it's not going to be specific. So, okay, so then I would layer these things on top of themselves, right? It would kick out some results. I would pass them through other websites. When I did that initial try, I would figure out which ones that I like best to do different things, right? So I would kind of narrow it down, those 20 down to like 3 or 4 of the ones I really wanted to use. And so every time you layer them on top of each other, just like in physical creation, photographs, collages, whatever, you are getting something through blunt force, something more novel. Your chances are better each time, right? So by filtering over and over, layering those processes, I get things more like this. Yeah. and I try to keep it, my personal models, I'm working locally, so it's primarily, the idea is using my work. That's the hope, right? This is AI, right? Yeah, and so there's a lineage of all these images of how I got from my work to this, which kind of visually makes sense. But these just shows you the variety if you want to like brainstorm like a new series. Like I could kick out like 100 different possible new series in like a day instead of taking a decade to feel like, well, where do I want my work to go, right? It's kind of a funny, interesting, what could be like this odd chalk pastel or gouache painting maybe. This, if y'all know my soap piece, resembles that a lot. I take a whole bunch of used bar soaps, arranged them in order, and then did a painting of them. And so this is kind of coming from that. It's that it swapped in objects instead of paint, or instead of soap. But you can visually see clearly how it comes from that. Here's another one. There's a lineage of these. But so even if you're not wanting to use these as they are as art, if you're a sculptor and art student, you're like, holy crap! Like I got all these ideas. Like what if I made this into an installation? What if I made 3D printed this and made this outfit and it was a performance piece that I go into and like add on to, right? So even if you're not like on board with it on its own, using it as a brainstorming tool is just revolutionary. Yeah, so this is AI. It's like painting, it's like a frame drawing, all completely AI. This directly comes from one of my like childhood silhouette pieces. It made it into this collage, which is AI. This is AI, right? So I think these are like pretty decent. I think these could stand in a gallery. Like if they were printed out, presented well, curated well, I think these could exist side by side other artworks, if not even be more interesting and stronger than a lot of other purely human-made artworks. All right, so scary part, bigger picture. Okay, of course there's ethical questions, but there's also legal questions. And I kind of threw Sherry Levine and Walker Evans out there, Richard Prince, Andy Warhol. These are court cases and news articles about specific things that has happened in our history. Adobe Firefly is trying to promote itself as the only or one of the first AI art generators that only trains its AI models off of consented imagery. So all the images it's pulling from, the artist or whoever submitted that imagery already agreed that it's like fair use or for anyone to use. So that's a good step. There could be like a virtual gallery or explicit licensing agreements, and maybe figuring out a way if there's a style or if there's like an engine that's using your work more than others, you get paid more for that. So that's like an option. I mean, it might not be much, but if millions of people around the world are doing it, like the Ghibli style, then you've got it made, right? So, yeah, but at the end of the day, if you want to explicitly use someone's work to mimic, just ask them. Most people, honestly, don't really care until you start making a lot of money, which, if we're being real, most artists aren't usually making a lot of money. Hey, Rowan. Or, if they're feeling like they're getting more attention or recognition for it, right? So it's always, it is kind of standard procedure in the arts world to always state how something is made and where you're getting information from. That's kind of like an established thing, right? Like this is AI generated or used AI, or this is, with the help of, or whatever. Okay. And then, like I said, the personal AI models, they're also called LoRa's. They're smaller, specific models that are trained. You could have a model just off of like cat fur, right? Or just like this leaf or whatever. And you can put that with this other main generator to produce better leaves or whatever it is. Okay. All right. Propaganda attacks. Yay, Russia. Okay. So they actually sent the stock market down. I think it was it 80 billion? Or I forget, for like a few hours it recovered. But for a while it was spread in social media. This image was spread and implied that the Pentagon was attacked in the middle of trading. Totally AI. They called the local authorities there. They were like, nothing's going on. Nothing's happening here. But you know how wildfire stuff like that spreads online, right? So sexual harassment, especially if you can imagine like a bunch of teenagers in high school or even middle school using this stuff, right? To convincingly address visually whoever you want and spread those pictures around, right? All those problems. That has been happening more and more frequently, and schools are very slow and blindsided also to getting on top of that. So that's a very serious problem. Fraud, right? Contact your local person or yourself if they're not very internet literate. There are, AI voices, and that's, they can on your computer. It's just anything that is not any person that's not physically in front of you can be mimicked and to be, someone's son or daughter, friend, mother, father, whatever, and do this really quick. I'm arrested or whatever. Send us money. And this is a multi-billion-dollar fraud industry around the world that is just growing. And there's just, of course, law enforcement is just like, so it's a very serious problem. Law enforcement. So a lot of these models are, if you're trying to identify people, are trained on white people. So there's a lot of misidentification. SWAT teams have been sent on if they're just strictly using this to confirm an identity into someone's house and it's not even the right person. So it shouldn't be used. Anything that makes law enforcement's life easier, they're going to use it a lot, right? So you need to be careful that there's some kind of practical oversight on that, which, so those are just a few problems. This is a fun little activity. There's actually found a better one recently. It's a little test where you kind of click which one you think is AI, right? And no one ever gets them all right. So you're lucky if you get 80%. This is that site engine. So I dropped an image I thought people might think of mine as AI, and it's totally not. And yay, it only thinks it's 2% AI. Or 2% confidence it does AI. So, but then others it does. Okay, this is the handout that I gave to help with visual literacy, to prevent impulsive actions, clickbait, fraud, all that stuff. No federal legislation has been passed on this stuff. A few states have passed statewide on very specific things, but they are way behind. And I don't know how much confidence we have in Congress being timely and passing anything effective on this stuff. So here's a few things that have been passed. Oh yeah, is it sustainable? So right now, as far as I can tell, it's just behind like Bitcoin, which if any of y'all have any idea how much energy Bitcoin mining is taking around the world, it's a lot. We just don't know if it's going to be sustainable yet or not, right? Are technological advances and the speed of technology going to help catch up to make this more sustainable? Or is the use of it going to outpace it? We don't know, right? So those are important questions. AI sweatshops, right? So all these different engines are being trained. It's very monotonous, tedious work, and so places like Google or wherever will use a third party to outsource that work to other countries, and so they're getting paid $1 an hour or something. And there's of course many problems with that. So there's 60 Minutes has done several good pieces on several of these things. So a lot of these issues are not new problems, right? They're just problems we've already had and AI is just making them more obvious, right? So if someone's trying to set up a straw man, like, look, AI is all our problems, I would be very skeptical of that, because they might be trying to distract you from the problems that they've already been supporting that AI is just making more obvious, right? So, like job security, or a living wage, and fraud, effective legislation, all those problems. Those are problems we already have, right? Yeah, and bed and sand. That's how it feels like it looks right now, which I get it. There's a lot of problems with it, but it's also a reality, and the longer we wait to deal with it, the worse it gets. Yeah.
Is the head in the sand real or AI generated?
That's a good question. I think it's actually real. I think it was a performance piece, but I don't know. I can't remember for sure. I think it's real. Okay. But yeah, any questions?
I have one.
Yeah.
Talking about the speed that all this can happen.
Yeah.
Is there any relation to that, to spontaneity, that to tell if it's real?
Yeah, I think the big problem with that is like a paradox of choice. Like if you go into a Total Wine looking for a red wine, it's just like, what do I do? It's just like, I don't even know how to go deeper or to really explore like this idea or something that is maybe more, has that lasting energy to it. So I think it's a different kind of spontaneity. Because it's such an amazing tool, it's very exciting. Like to use it, it's like, you feel like you have a superpower, I think it's exciting. Granted, all those problems. But I did find accidentally that a lot of the stuff I was typing into with my models and coming up with results, it would give me sculptural results, like physical images of physical things. And I was thinking about you, and I was just like, for ceramics, this is like, imagine.
But it's only an image.
Right, but they could use that as like a sketch to make the ceramics piece from. So, imagine they take drawing 1, and they have Robin's class, and then you're like, okay, bring in a drawing, bring in your most creative, interesting drawing that you have, plug that in, and you make a ceramics piece from that.
Yeah.
Like that could be interesting. Kill it. Yeah.
How is your sabbatical and what you learned influencing your artistry and also influencing your instruction?
Good question. So the last, I would say, third of my time, like a solid month-ish, was just in developing like discussion and lecture presentations and assignments. And so I totally revamped one of my 2D units with old assignments and projects, but using AI. And so this is the first semester, and they haven't gotten to that unit yet. So I'll see with that after this semester. I did produce, I focused in on layering specific images. So after all of this, and trying to generally just make what I think are the weirdest, most interesting images, I went back through to try to pick out the images that would actually fit with my work, like my practice, and saved like 100 of them, and then upscaled them, which is all of these all the other image results. In order for them to be quick, and it takes so much computing power, the images you get are very small. They're very low resolution. But upscaling, which is an AI thing, instead of just adding noise pixels that are just artificially make something a higher resolution, it will contextually make that image much larger at a higher resolution. So I could make a little thumbnail that's 500 by 500 pixels and make it into 8K, which I can print out to like 8 feet tall. Right?
So do you own those?
That's a good question. So this kind of goes back to, there's not really any legislation, people don't really know how to talk about this stuff. I think a lot of galleries are staying away from it with a 10-foot pole for lots of reasons.
Would you just be upfront, this is AI generated?
Yeah. So I just submitted a Box 13 show proposal, in part using, honestly, most of the work in the show wouldn't actually be AI, or using AI.
Oh, wow.
But it's showing their chronology of starting with my work, using AI, those images, and then making work from those images. And so I'm kind of like going full circle and showing that it's a tool instead of like a crutch.
Because the ones you came up with, unbelievable.
Thanks. Yeah, and that's just like a very small little handful of hundreds of images. So yeah.
Well, one, I mean, why didn't you use AI for that? You just stole it, so.
Yeah, totally. You can
Right?
see
So
that.
one of the benefits of AI is you can say, give me a smiley face with 2 thumbs up, and it's unique, and you haven't stolen it.
I don't know if I'd say it's that unique.
Well,
it's
okay.
still easier to just do
It's still easier to copy and paste. But again, no citation whatsoever.
I know, right?
So I just, early on, and I guess this is accurate, I thought of Vanilla Ice with his do versus do.
Yeah.
And that going to court, and you know, is it Mark Ronson that talks about in his documentaries, like synthing and rapping and how hip hop started, where someone was over here, and then you got the melange, and then is rap art, is hip hop art? You know, for me, I struggle with trap because it is so synthed, right? That I'm just, once you have that much auto tune, but that's its whole own genre now. So I think in 10 years, this conversation, I mean, I love it. It's cool now, but like it'll be like, of course, we can take 3 things and add it to this and do that and create an interpretive. Right, the video will get so good that you're like making an interpretive dance based on Tommy's, you know, chessboard that he made about his grandpa, and they'll do that.
This morning I was waking up just on my phone, and I was on this subreddit, and what someone started to do was they had the audio recording of a court case, a court proceeding, and they had this like animated like image, like some fantasy character. You can imagine like a little Pixar character or whatever. And then they had someone just video recorded someone dancing and making really expressive faces, talking through the proceedings. And it put it all together and made that like animated character like narrate the court proceedings. And I'm just like, Pixar's got to watch out, because this is so entertaining, it's real, and it's like visually engaging. And like that was just like someone on the side doing like a little thing. And it was just like, and that anybody can do that now. So I think the kicker now is that because most people don't have the creative experience or training in learning, or the eye to see if something is novel or not, that's holding a lot of people back. And they're so excited by that kind of one-stop shop thing, where you just kind of like type in one thing or do 1 or 2 things to it. And it's still essentially kind of the same thing. But once people start really figuring out or getting more comfortable learning to like layer these things like you do in any art class, then it's exponential. It's like your options are just kind of everywhere. So that's when things are, and that's already starting to happen. Like on all these different AI forums, I'm starting to see collectively just better work happening on all of them. So most of the work, especially a lot of artists, are saying, AI art is junk. It's like they're seeing like that 99% of stuff that whoever's just going on there and typing in frog. And yeah, it's going to look boring and bad, and like you've seen it 1,000 times. But, you know, it doesn't mean all of it's like that. I mean, it's changing.
Have you seen the Amazon one? The new, I think it might be called Merlin. Have you seen that other 2 tip? Like my kids, I got them the new Amazon Fire Stick, and it has an AI built into it, and it's all beta, but they'll spend hours. It's almost like they'll just say like, show me a unicorn riding a narwhal, you know, riding a bicycle, playing the violin, and then they'll just laugh. I almost want to take like a die or, you know, random number generator and mostly it just messes, you need 7 fingers on there, right, for that to be AI?
Oh,
So it messes
Yeah.
up
Well, that's it.
fingers, or I'll put a fin.
The finger thing's fixed now. This time.
Okay.
So yeah, that was one that was fixed like several months ago. But yeah, that used to be like one thing you could look out for, but not anymore. There's and this was about maybe 2 years ago now, or a year and a half ago. It's what?
It's the good old days.
Yeah, the good old days when you can tell there's extra fingers.
Valuable.
It's a shame for people that are actually born with an extra finger. I think there's a few of those. But there's a YouTube streamer his thing is trying out all the new AI programs and tools, and he like typed in, okay, give me create like a frog, a bluegrass frog character, like just an image. Okay, no problem. Okay, now create a bluegrass song. Creates the lyrics for it. Okay, now put these lyrics and create a bluegrass song with these lyrics. Makes the song. Okay, now use this image, use this audio, and make a bluegrass frog band playing this song, music video. I timed how long that took for him to do all that, and between all the talking, just him actually doing it, guess how long that took? All of it to come up from give me a frog to the frog bluegrass band music video. Guess how long that took?
20 minutes, 5 minutes.
Anyone else?
20 seconds.
40 seconds.
I win.
And that was like a year ago. Now the video part, I feel like he must have edited out the actual rendering of that. But him actually just plugging it in and taking it into the next thing, 40 seconds. And that's something your 10-year-old can do right now.
Yeah.
So, and that was like 2 years ago. So imagine how like the quality, resolution, all that, how that's gotten better. And continues to get better.
So newscasters are already just talking heads, so I guess they can be gone really, you can just decorate your newscaster any way you want to read whatever news you want to see.
That's an idea I'm sure someone's thinking about right now.
Yeah.
Like make it interactive. Can you imagine like if your news stations were interactive on your phone? Like, in YouTube, there's your settings button, you can change the speed. What if you could change them to drop this image or change, they're in front of a volcano now, or they're doing whatever, like, or they're a giant, or maybe they're a dog. Like you can, like that's.
The user can select their own newscaster. Give me Darth Newscaster.
Right. Have you seen the Sinclair compilation where like all the stations are saying the same thing? It's like 200 stations and all reading the same script across the country. Okay, anyway.
Brainless.
That's a whole different.
That's a whole other conversation, but I feel like it relates.
It does.
Yeah.
I don't know, I hope at the end of this, a question will arise. It was very good talk, so thank you for that. But in terms of creating art, or whatever art is, or how you define art, you specifically and other people, I'm wondering who's the artist? I like to think, I don't subscribe to any specific definition, but I like Tolstoy's notion of, it's kind of a communication model where I can put an emotion into my art and something comes out. And maybe that's the piece of art or something like that if it affects people in the right way. But what constitutes an artist from your point of view in terms of prompt engineering, the outcome? Is there art to be done? Is that art, and is there an artist involved?
Yeah, there's a couple of really good questions in there. Okay. One thing that I'm surprised people aren't really bringing up, and I feel like maybe artists are afraid to ask it, or so obvious artists don't ask it, is the tangible reality connection in making. Like that is something that isn't substituted with this. You can't substitute that. So, and that's like a very phenomenological, relationship that has a profound effect on our well-being and our quality of life, and having this connection to reality, right? That has been getting lost more and more and more. That's like one aspect that I didn't even get to really touch on with this, but I think it's an important conversation. What is art, or who's the artist? Then I kind of go back to, a director of a movie gets all the credit, but there's like 1,000 people working on it.
An architect.
Yeah, or an architect, or, you know, even fine artists. There's studios like, you know, look at like Jeff Koons or Damien Hirst, like they have their warehouse. Warhol famously had his warehouse. So there's that. For me, I kind of come back to like, are you the first person making that thing, or generating that thing, getting that thing to exist? Does it not exist anywhere else yet? Congratulations, you've made that thing. Now, if you've generated a thing and it looks like somebody's thing over there, then now here's the problem. Here's the risky problem. I think a lot of galleries are afraid of this or not wanting to touch it. Is that a lot of this depends on your knowledge of all of the imagery around the world. What if there's some new hot sculptor that's in art forum online, and some company machine grabs that, throws it into its engine, and you're just somebody like, you know, on the other side of the world, you produce something and it looks strikingly a lot like that work, but you don't know that, right? And you don't know to give credit for that, and it inspires you, and you make a sculpture based off of the image of that sculpture. Then, you know, you're just a plagiarizer, right?
But isn't the same thing true of painting or crafting the leaf?
Yeah.
It's
So,
like, I learned about leaves 80 years ago, and now I'm using leaf. Who says I'm taking it?
yeah. So, I mean, like, this is like a kind of a dirty word, like, you know, I bring up in art classes on the first day. It's like, you know, the what is art question. And there's this contentious thing in the fine art world, you know, like fine art and the crafts, and like, there's a craft to everything. And it really just depends on what you're doing with it or what you're wanting out of it.
But it's the same thing
Yeah.
in English. I learned to read in this language, and I'm using those letters
Yeah.
to write this thing.
Yeah. So famously, there's an artist who tried to copyright Vanta Black,
Oh, yeah.
like this specific
Yeah.
black. And so he was the only artist that would be allowed to use this black.
Yeah.
Or like, I don't know, like I'm thinking of other things like Nestle trying to like water rights, or like who's going to control oxygen? Like, you know, it's like trying to privatize everything. And so, yeah, so it's like, yeah, that's.
Where is it?
Yeah, so that's that spectrum that I'm talking about. And it's like, and it kind of goes back to that like, oh, I know it when I see it kind of thing.
We want this to be legislated?
Yeah,
How does that sound?
right. So that's the hard part. So like, when I went back to, clicker. When I went back to, here, come on. Did I click over it?
Don't know what you're looking for, so I can't
Oh, no,
say.
here we go. Okay.
tell.
Yeah. So top obvious, bottom a little less obvious, right? There's clearly like an influence, but it's kind of its own thing.
What?
Yeah.
It's its own thing. It's its own style. It's its own. It's not a copy. It's using it. It's influenced by.
But isn't that true of everything?
Right. Exactly.
Building work.
Yeah. So there's nothing, and that was kind of, I did my master's thesis on the spectrum of novelty, right? And so there's nothing on the planet that exists in a, design-wise, exists in a bubble that is something that has never, that has no, that would be considered something novel, I guess, really, entirely. So there's always going to be influence. There's always going to be that lineage of other things that influence artists to make new work, or work that we consider to be new, right? So that's kind of something that I think artists kind of need to be reminded of. It's like, well, you know, if it's a machine doing it, it's different than if a human's doing it.
Pencil may be doing.
Yeah, so, and there's, if you get into, you know, the history of conceptual art, like Silhouette, you know, like giving the instructions to somebody, they do it, but Silhouette gets the credit as the artist, right? He might have never even touched the work, the finished work itself. So there's a long history of all this kind of stuff of if it needs to be handmade or not to touch the aura, right? Or if it's, if someone else is helping or how much or whatever. At the end of the day, for me, is it good? Like, yeah.
So about a year ago, I was asked if by an AI company if they could use my lecture videos to train AI with my lectures. So I was thinking, I would prefer to see Sarah Michelle Gellar teach me calculus, I suppose, than me.
More student interaction.
And so,
You can do that. Like, I mean, if the company gives you the vision over their visual.
Content, and then they could just plug it into Michelle Gellar's visage.
My brain, I guess, is in music mode still, so Ed Sheeran, right, got sued, and he was just like, they're just notes. Like,
Yeah.
how many notes can I possibly play with and make them unique? And then, again, I do weird dives, but Ghostbusters was plagiarized, and so was the song Creep by Radiohead.
Oh, yeah.
So they were found guilty, and it's not legislating, but it's litigious,
Yeah.
that sooner, like these case, the top case, right? Where they're like, that doesn't come. That, with Vanilla Ice, I think he made a case. I think he won the case, right? It's doo-doo versus doo-doo.
I think he had so much money behind him at the time,
Yeah.
he won that one, like he was just.
But Creep lost, Radiohead lost, and then Ed Sheeran won, right? Because there were only so many notes.
I think Ed Sheeran won, if I remember correctly.
That's
Because
what I said, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think he won not because there was only so many notes, but because I think it was Martin Gaye who was accused of plagiarizing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, I
And
remember
like
that.
the head of the estate came forward and said, we really don't care.
Yes.
And that's another thing, is like,
Public domain.
it's like, well, what if you're only using artists that are dead,
Yeah.
right? So then who's really angry,
Right.
Yeah.
you know?
His daughter in this
Yeah,
case.
or like someone who's already, Jeff Koons, Damien Hirst, they're already worth over, $50 million each or something. So like, yeah, they're fine.
So for like the Radiohead thing, they just made the original writers of that song owners of Creep, and they share the royalties. But you can't copyright a harmonic progression. But if a melody and a rhythmic pattern are close enough to an original work, they can be litigated.
Okay.
And so that's the determining factor. But some people like Ariana Grande are so confident in the money they'll make from taking something from the Sound of Music, because music has a 75-year copyright, that she'll just plagiarize the Sound of Music and put it in her song and just pay the penalty. And some artists are just willing to do that, others are not. But for AI, it's a little more complicated, because there's especially in hip hop, if you're borrowing music, which is, sampling it, there's a certain amount that you can play before it becomes copyright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's 30
seconds.
right?
Yeah, that's true. Is that true? Is that true? Oh, it is.
Is it 30 seconds total or 30 seconds consecutive?
Oh, interesting.
That's
So,
why it's always cut off.
Yeah.
And every art field has its different laws in different countries. So like music's different from writing, or it's different in the UK versus here, versus movement, versus like, so it's a whole other thing. There's attorneys, that's just like, that's their entire job, is art, copyright, art litigation. Yeah. I'll think it. Just interesting, or bummer, I don't know.
It's interesting. Not a question, but a request. Can we do the AI or human game?
Oh,
You have in there?
we have a few minutes. Let's see here, yeah. There is a better one I just found, but let's see if,
You have to do that everywhere you go. You almost got there.
Do you have time for another question?
sure, yeah.
So, do you think it might be fair to say that art's value could be tied to the feelings elicited either in creating or perceiving it?
Yeah, I think it's important to kind of, whenever we say the word value, kind of like remind people, like, or distinguish, because immediately, especially in this country, when we hear the word value, we're thinking money, right? And so there's other kinds of value that we get from things. And that's something that's very hard to quantify, right? And so I would definitely agree that I get more fulfillment using a paintbrush than I do from, just doing this all day or something, right? But at the same time, most creatives have like at least 2, if not more, different creative things in their lives to help kind of like offset or give themselves the freedom to play or make that work in the other. So I could easily see myself like, painting a lot for a few weeks or a month and then jumping into this, playing around with this for like a few weeks or whatever, and then jumping back. So, and they would kind of play off of each other. And I think it's like whatever like excites you is something that is worth looking into. And I think especially in generationally, like most younger people, self-included, I guess, are more, or maybe not self-included, are more comfortable digitally than they are physically. And so sometimes you kind of have to have that, give them that teaser of like the breadcrumbs of, and then you kind of trick them into actually making something. So it's, I don't know if that answer your question? Or, I don't know, you're just throwing a question out there? Or?
Yeah, it's sort of tied to, then,
That's the answers.
do you anticipate that there may be an increase in valuation of perception of the creation? So like live performance art or the creation of by other humans, potentially?
Say it again, sorry, I caught the last part.
No, it's okay. Do you think there'll be an increase in the valuation of in-person, like live performance art creation?
Authentic
I would hope
art?
So.
Yes.
I would hope so. I mean, like, I think practically, I mean, the US is so spread out that most people go their whole lives without even ever seeing any performance art. Most people don't even know the difference between performance art and theater, right? Or you see something that went viral of some bad or very cringy performance art and everyone thinks that's what performance art is, right? So that, like, I would hope so, but it might just be for people that are already like around it a lot, that are already like know what it is, and which I think is kind of I mean, that's the value of going to school is that you can be exposed and learn about all this other stuff, but practically I don't think people are really going to even know or be around it like they already are. I guess that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, how do I go to the actual?
Got a question, Tony.
Yeah.
I don't know if you, in your search, were you looking as far as the market value, the monetary value of AI images? I'm just thinking like the way when if you were to get an image in AI, a painting, and you going to put it in the gallery, I mean, there's texture there. How the gallery is actually making profit of that?
Yeah, and that's something, I did see a special on someone opening up an AI gallery. I mean, people always, when they think about examples of profit, especially in the arts, everyone thinks about like the top 0.001% that's just making a living from studio art stuff. And so, like, but if we're being real, most artists, most people that create aren't making a living doing it. So it's kind of like, for me, it's like, I don't think most of that really changes. But yeah, most people I know, most professional artists, I call it the aggregate. They'll have like 1, 2, or 3 things that come in at different times, and it all works together to live the life they want to. They're choosing the quality of life that they want over a bigger paycheck. They're not a desk job person, but they make it work, putting this together and that together. So, some of that comes from their art sales, but maybe a third of it comes from this little side business, and a third of it comes from this other part-time day job. So I think practically, that's not really going to change. But yeah, so so we can choose human or AI.
AI.
Good. Human or AI?
Human.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Human or AI? Human or AI?
AI.
Ooh, confident, okay. I feel like somebody's going to be saying the opposite answers of what they think.
Sure.
This is going to be the philosophers. They're just going to be like, it's the opposite.
Contrary.
Humans are AI.
Human or AI?
AI.
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 Human or AI?
Human.
Human.
I hope that's you.
What do we think?
AI.
Human. I'm hearing more confident humans.
AI.
What? I feel like the artists have to be quiet on this one because some of these might be obvious. What do we, or say it louder, what do y'all think?
Yeah. Human.
AI. I don't know.
All right, this one.
That's human.
What?
That's AI.
AI.
Freddie, you just said the artists have to be quiet.
Oh, yeah, right.
That doesn't look real. I'm gonna get in trouble. If you said it's a famous piece of art, one of them.
Well, some of these aren't like, the art piece isn't famous, but it's done by a famous person. So that's why some of them I'm like, though, I know. But
Okay.
what do y'all think?
Human.
So, like, you can see the.
See how hard this is getting? What do y'all think?
AI. I'll go human. Whatever.
Or more humans?
I don't know.
I heard another.
It's pretty real. It's clear. Human. I don't know. So like, most of you guys are in the art department. I'd never seen a Van Gogh until like I went downtown here. And the difference of like seeing the paint carved versus seeing all the lithographs is so different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gotta be yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, and that kind of relates to previous question. But
AI.
like, there's no substitute. Did I hear more human or AI?
What?
Say it again.
We had two different answers.
I know, that's what I'm like.
There's no substitute for what?
So there's no substitute for
Dog.
going to a museum. Going to a museum. But
Learning.
but practically, most people look at art on their phone. So yes, objectively, there's no substitute for the museum, but practically, the reality, most people don't look at work on it at a museum.
Yeah.
They look at it on their phone. Yeah. So what did we say?
Human.
We said yes.
What's really staggering to me is someone who is a non-artist is having a real difficult time even suggesting which one.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah, we have no
And I
papers
mean, it's
making
just-
stuff up here.
especially after what I just showed y'all, right?
Did anyone even say anything for the last one, or did you just?
I heard AI.
Okay.
I heard AI. How about this one?
Oh, human. I'm going Basquiat. I don't know my artist. Yeah, it's not Basquiat. It's just
Not gonna say anything.
because you'll insult me, Tommy.
No. Just let's be quick. Just
Yeah,
full
sure.
stop.
Human.
Human. Yeah, let's get it.
AI.
AI.
Human.
Human.
I want it to be.
Yeah, I want that.
AI.
AI.
I think I heard more AI now.
AI.
Oh, more confident AI. Just going by confidence now.
AI.
Tie. Tiebreaker?
You tell me.
I can't do it. I've taken this before. It's the same images.
Human.
Human.
That's
Human.
a cheat. Is that legit?
Human.
That's my kids, right? It's a turtle. It's always a turtle. Pretty good wax.
Human.
Human AI. Well, then the lighting's
It
different.
doesn't say it was a good human.
So is that a Turing cheat? Like the lighting isn't right? Like the direction?
Sometimes.
Human.
Jesus is cut.
AI. AI.
So starvation images.
So what?
process.
I think that's AI. What do
Human.
Human.
AI.
What
Human.
is that? Human.
Better be human.
That's your rabbit back there.
It's
got a unicorn.
It's a normal.
What do we say? Say for this one?
Human.
I've never seen anyone paint like that.
It's cool.
Look at the watercolor. Yeah, I don't know. That was human. Joe Human. Champs-Élysées. Human. Landing crane. Human. I'm gonna go with you. You guys wanna go with AI?
It's to make a point.
That's cool.
AI.
She's cool.
Is that an option?
It's cool.
Human.
Human. Human. Album cover.
Let's see if it'll just let us skip this stuff. So like questionnaire stuff. It's just been recorded? Okay. And this is the answer key. Did it not tell us like a percentage? I know. So this will go through and tell us. Just give us the answers. This is AI. That one's real. This is real.
What?
Because there's digital art, right?
That's another thing,
This is AI.
Really?
This I think was real, but it's been copied a lot in AI. So I think the original guy is real, but
Human. Oh, okay.
this is human. So it's human. AI. Human.
The benefits of being an animator is what.
AI. AI. There is an artist now in my feed that actually paints like this. I actually thought it was her work. So, human. We're like, phew. It's human. David Hockney. I thought artists in the room would catch this one. Oh, just kidding. This is AI. Thought there was. Oh, okay. That's this whole shtick. It's using AI. It's like repeating.
Are repeats.
Yeah, I think it was like there was a discussion section at the beginning, and then now it's actually.
Oh, that car.
This is human. AI.
We should do the school at Athens.
This is AI.
Musicians.
Human. This is Basquiat. I think someone mentioned it.
Yeah.
Yep.
When it says human, it
College.
means digital art.
So happy.
Yeah, so it includes digital art
Oh,
makers.
that's so
Yeah.
interesting, because 5 years ago, there was a discussion about like
Yeah.
Photoshop.
Yeah.
You were able to do Photoshop.
So yeah, you can make this digitally by hand.
Yeah.
Well, by hand. Yeah, with stylus and stuff. It looks digital, but that doesn't mean it's AI, right? Just because it's digital art doesn't mean it's AI, right? But yeah, this one was for the artist, whereas that's an easy one. AI.
Good job, Jack.
It's human. I think this is another digital painting. And I have to like clarify with my students more and more now when they say like, oh, I made this painting, and they're talking about like a digital image, which I'm not on board with that. Like I'm not comfortable with calling digital images paintings, but
I don't think it helps that, what is it, like 3 of the major digital art
Oh, my God.
this is AI.
apps use paint in their name.
Oh yeah. So this is AI. Sorry.
The jawline.
AI, human, AI, human, AI, human, AI.
Not the
Yeah,
turtle.
yeah, I feel like that's just like, they had to give us a few gimmies, like they're like
Yeah.
to build some confidence.
I love the title for that one. Bubble.
Yeah, so, human, yeah, so it has the most difficulty with the most like basic kind of work images, like the classic cartoon I try to get. But yeah, I think I'm running over a bit, but human, AI. Someone said this doesn't, I've never seen a watercolor look like that.
That's
That's
not
kind of
right.
that gut feeling
Yeah.
of like, oh, probably AI, right? This is AI. I thought this was.
Oh, I thought that was real.
Yeah. Jack. Apparently Jack's doing very well with AI. Yeah, it does kind of get me. Yeah, this is Kara Walker, I think. Yeah. So there's some famous artists thrown in there, but this might be. Oh, I thought this might have been an O'Keefe there for a second.
That's what I was thinking.
It's a jacket.
That's AI, yeah. A Jack. But yeah. So, and there's actually a few others of these that might be even harder or better now. But I think you're doing really well on these, just visually, if you get like 80%, honestly. And that's just someone that has like a decade in art school. So, honestly, if just anyone without art experience or image experience gets like a 60 or 75 on this, I think would be doing pretty well. So. But yeah, thanks for Thanks.
So next week, we have our very own Jeff Grove, who will be talking about the history of the Big Bang. So hopefully you guys can make it. And if you haven't had a chance to sign in, the sign-in sheet's over there. If you can sign in before you leave, I'd appreciate it.